doll faces, these are my Mabon Contemplations. This is the last in the series of contemplations videos I did for the 8 points on the Wheel of the Year. And I'm late with these ones. I have not found any decent time to be able to record. I had a little bit of a window yesterday, but my housemate was practicing with his guitar, so that went out of the window. And tonight I'm just filming my bedside table because it's quite late and I'm already sort of ready for bed and so on, so I didn't really feel like facing you guys tonight. But I'm burning some cranberry incense tonight for Sammy. Sammy cranberry is what I burn for physical health and harmony with my own body. So I'm giving you lots of loving thoughts tonight, honey pie, and I've been thinking of you and holding my rose quartz and sending you everything I've got, babe, so good luck for tomorrow. Okay, so my Mabon Contemplations. The first thing I wanted to say about Mabon is I always feel very reverent at Mabon. I think I've let you guys know a couple of times now that I do tend to feel more reverent in the darker months of the year. And a few times since I've been on my path, I've had periods where my path didn't play such a huge role, or when I kind of strayed from the path or didn't take an active interest. And what's always brought me back is Mabon. In fact, every time I've begun a new Book of Shadows or Book of Mirrors, it normally begins around the time of Mabon. And I know that's because the colder half of the year drags me back to what I know and love about spirituality. So even though I'm fairly sure that I'm never going to experience such a straying from the path again, not now at the age of 28, I'm pretty sure I've got it down, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be this way forever. When I was younger, I did have certain periods where I would stray away from paganism and I wouldn't celebrate the Wheel of the Year and that kind of thing, and it would always be Mabon time that would bring me back into the fold, if you like. So there's a very special feeling with Mabon that everything is just so in harmony with how I feel about spirituality. And I tend to find that a lot of spiritual revelations or spiritual changes, evolutionary stages if you like, they tend to come around at the time of Mabon. In fact, I've experienced quite a significant one which I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about, and it really doesn't surprise me at all. Mabon and Samhain are really the times where things get moving and shaking in my spiritual pathway, so that's always really good. Again, as I said with Lunarsar, I think it's a time for celebrating the life cycle, and that's something that I spend a lot of time thinking about at Mabon. I think Samhain, Mabon and Lunarsar give you that opportunity to reflect, of course, on the returning of the darkness and on the relationship between death and life and the life cycle itself. And thinking about, I mean, this is the second harvest festival, so if we think about the fact that death has to play a part and death has to come into being in order for flourishing and thriving to take place. And I really like thinking about that, and I like thinking about the recycling of energy, and I like thinking about the different ways in which things can be alive. I like to think, for example, about my animistic beliefs and the fact that I believe in one sense or another that everything is alive and everything has a kind of characteristic to it. So I can really go quite deep with those contemplations, but just thinking on the harvest and thinking about how it's a time of harvest gives me that opportunity to reflect on the cycle of life and on the continuation of it and on its perfection and on the fact that I'm part of it too. I think that's important. And I've also been thinking quite a lot about earthly death, about human death in particular this year, because my mother's friend is dying at the moment of terminal cancer, and we're preparing for her to go on to the next place, and it's difficult at the moment for my mother. She's dealing with a lot of feelings of the time when my grandmother passed when I was only 14. It's really bringing a lot of those feelings back to her, so there are a lot of contemplations of that nature for me. And my mum's friend actually gave me a little gift a few days ago, which is absolutely beautiful and will definitely take its place on my Samhain altar. As I send good wishes and healing thoughts to her and hope that she passes on with grace and with peace. So I wasn't really planning on talking about that, but that's where that went. I've visited a couple of cemeteries lately. I do enjoy taking a little constitutional through a cemetery. I know it's one of those things that many people think are very stereotypical about witches. I don't necessarily think it's that stereotypical, to be honest with you. I think it's one of those things that a lot of people who think deeply about the life cycle, and a lot of people who are maybe more comfortable with death or more at one with the premise of human death, would find themselves doing. I think there's something very peaceful about cemeteries, and I think it's also a place where you are kind of encouraged by your surroundings and by the theme of your surroundings to reflect. So it's actually very helpful. It's sometimes a very cathartic place to go for a walk. So I've visited a few cemeteries lately, and I think that's probably me tuning in with the Mabon energy to an extent too. I think, like Lunarsar, Mabon is a time of thanksgiving for me and a time of gratitude. I started a gratitude journal a few months ago, and I've noticed I've been writing quite frequent entries in it, so it is something that comes to mind for me, and it's something that I really enjoy spending my time reflecting on. I think it gives me a sense of incredible peace. It's almost like an act of mindfulness to a degree, or I suppose what positive psychologists would call savouring, where you enjoy a certain thing that you're doing or a certain thing that you're thinking about, but you really kind of zoom into it and savour it and kind of take it apart and see how it's making all of your senses feel and recognise how you're responding to it emotionally. So it's almost like life amplified in a sense. And I do a lot of that around this time of year, and of course with the leaves turning and the air getting colder, it is also very visceral for the senses. When you say goodbye to the sun and the sun begins to wane, you become hyper alert when it comes to walking around in your surroundings and surveying your environment. You kind of feel more switched on. It's almost like you've taken an energy pill of some kind. When the cold starts to come, I really start to look around and I really start to get involved and engaged with my environment in a whole new way. I really feel, for me, like the cold gives me this sense of energy and vibrancy and kind of wakes me up in a sense. In fact, in a couple of months' time, I know that it's going to literally wake me up, because when you walk out the door in England in December, it's like a slap in the face. But I'm really looking forward to that time. When I was younger, I used to really favour the winter months, whereas now I'm much more balanced and I enjoy every season, I enjoy every month, I enjoy every festival. Of course, I have a favourite, doesn't everybody? And like 99.9% of witches, my favourite is Samhain. And that was another thing that I wanted to say about Mabon, is that I really feel that it is the doorway to Samhain. And I think that's why so many wonderful, vast spiritual realizations and forms of evolution come to me during the Mabon period, because I really feel like it's the doorway towards Witches' New Year. And as I come closer to Witches' New Year, each year with Mabon, I feel as though there's a lot of tying up loose ends. I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I often feel with Mabon as though there's the tying up of loose ends. There's kind of cleaning and organising going on. There's dealing with things that might have been swept under the rug or placed on the back burner. And I feel that that's kind of preparing me and clearing my plate for when Samhain comes along, when I really get to grips with my New Year's resolutions, if you like. I do, of course, celebrate ordinary New Year too, but I feel like New Year in December going into January, the goals that I place, that I set for myself, and the things that I want to reflect upon, the things I want to put into being, they're more about the tangible realm with December New Year, whereas with Witches' New Year, I'm focusing really on the spiritual journey. I'm focusing on the ways in which I want to evolve over the coming 12 months. So it's a very exciting time for me, and it's a time when I do a lot of writing and a lot of journaling, and I really get to grips with what's important for me, what no longer serves, what do I wish to bring into my life, what do I want to invite and why, and where do I want to spend more of my time, and also reflecting back on where I've spent my time over the past 12 months. So Mabon is really like the gateway to these kinds of thoughts which I put into play at the time of Samhain. So it's really a month of tying up loose ends, working out what I want to focus on. I do a lot of cleaning and organising and that kind of thing. I really love the changing leaves at this time of year. I had an incredibly pantheistic, full-on experience yesterday when I was looking at the changing leaves, and I really almost cried with joy. Like, it was so perfect and so magical, and I felt completely spiritually plugged in. I felt alive, I felt switched on, I felt like I was truly part of it, and it was like my astral body just wanted to sway way out into those leaves and get lost. It was a really perfect feeling, and I'm sure that Mabon invites those kinds of feelings for me. It's kind of an expansive time. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. One last thing about Mabon. I feel like Beltane for me is the creativity festival. I think it's the time when we celebrate art and we celebrate passion. We celebrate the passionate connections between people, but we also celebrate this artistic streak, this life force of the creative that runs through us all. So I feel it's the festival for art, and I feel it's the festival for expression. Mabon for me also gives me those kinds of feelings. It's almost like a strange inverted Beltane to an extent. And I think the main reason that it gives me those feelings is because it's the first of the festivals where you're spending more time indoors again than outdoors. If you're on the northern hemisphere at least anyway, there will come this time around Mabon, and in fact this year it's been pretty much dead on the nose. When you take your things inside, you don't spend so much time outside on the decking and the garden furniture. You're not sunbathing anymore, you're not going out for long hazy walks anymore. It's starting to get dark much faster, you're starting to feel that chill in the air in the morning, there's more rain. So as you move your life from outside to mainly inside, you suddenly get this feeling that, oh, I'm in my house again. You know, there's more time inside. I'm sitting inside kind of organically more because it's cold. And this makes me really get in touch with my creative urges. I get this surge of desire to create stuff. I've already stocked up my acrylic paints, I'm buying some canvas tomorrow, I've started making worry dolls again, just kind of wanting to play around with things, wanting to do something with my hands, wanting to lovingly make things. So it really is a creativity festival for me, and I really like that about it. I think that's something that I really enjoy about Mabon. So, you know, this is my gateway to Samhain, I suppose, and a lot of good things happen as a result of that. I feel really connected to the festival this year, and I'm sorry the contemplations are coming to you guys late. And I kind of regret that you're not looking at my face this time around, because I've very diligently worked on contemplations videos for all of the points on the Wheel of the Year, and each time it's been me kind of talking to you guys to camera. But I'm really not feeling up to it tonight, and the light is horrendous. The light might look okay in this video because you're focusing on a kind of reflection space which has a lamp over it, so it might be okay in the video, but my face to camera at this time of night in my room, I look like an Oompa Loompa. It's just completely orange, so I'm afraid I do not want to commit that to YouTube for an indefinite period of time. I'm not vain, but it just wouldn't look nice. It would look really ugly and bad quality. So I hope you were okay with looking at my little reflection space anyway, and much love to you all, blessed be. I hope you're having a fabulous, gorgeous gateway to Samhain. I hope the next month is full of as many spiritual revelations for you as there have been for me, and I can't wait to share with you what I've been learning and experiencing on my path and continue with you on your journeys. Much love.